Hey everyone, Mitch coming from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through the top new commanders in Commander. It's kind of redundant. Regardless, the top new commanders that are starting to really make a push in the format. Wilds of Eldraine is going to have a massive impact. I mean, we've already seen that with some of the commanders out there, seeing a ton of decks already being built around them. So all that said, let's jump into it. So at 10th place with 314 decks already to its name, we've got Balloona Grand Squall, a 4/4 giant noble that costs green, blue, and red, so in Teamer. Seek Thrills is its adventure for an extra 2 mana essentially, plus that Teamer. Mill 7 cards and put all cards that have an adventure from among the milled cards in your hand. Trample permanent spells you cast that have an adventure cost have 1 less to cast essentially. So yeah, this commander again, Eldraine just came out essentially. It's already got 314 decks to its name. Players are absolutely loving Teamer adventures. Now, you already had a lot of adventures to choose from in the original Eldraine as well as Baldur's Gate as well, but now you get even more from Eldraine. So you've got a swath of adventures to choose from. You've got a lot of value to get out of your commander from the command zone as an adventure itself. Again, instant speed, potentially like, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 or 7 if you're really lucky adventures in your hand. And yeah, when it's in play, reducing the cost of your adventures as permanents as well. So you're getting value on the front half, value on the back half as well. Again, essentially having, basically split cards in your deck, essentially just an entire deck full of split cards. A lot of value to be had, a lot of flexibility to be had with a commander like this. And yeah, players out there apparently just loving Teamer adventures. So again, congratulations on your 10th place finish, Balloona Grand Squall. Now let's move on to number 9 with Will Sign of Peace at 322 decks to its name. And yeah, this is a commander that haunts my dreams. Nightmares of Will Sign of Peace, because not very peaceful with what it does. A 2/4 human wizard with vigilance that costs 1 white blue. Tap spells you cast this turn that are white and or blue cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So essentially, hey, all of our spells are going to cost nearly nothing. Now, all white and blue spells, I should say, but still, yeah, gaining life is not that difficult. There are plenty of ways to gain a good amount of life pretty quickly. And when you do that, yeah, all of a sudden your spells cost nothing. You're also in 2 colors that have a ton of untap effects that you can really take advantage of. Just picture like a dramatic reversal. Plus this, all of a sudden untap everything, including things that you tap for your mana. And then, yeah, you can tap this again to reduce the cost even further to cast just a massive draw spell potentially, to make yourself just draw a ton of cards. And all of a sudden you draw into more untap effects, which then you untap and then you do it again and again and again, gaining even more life, I'm sure, in the process, and just demolishing your opponents in a variety of crazy ways. So yeah, Will Sign of Peace, not very peaceful, but a very, very potent commander, one that's already making an impact at 322 decks. But now let's move on to 8th place with 338 decks to its name already. Tegwell, Duke of Splendor, one of the pre-con commanders out there, already making an impact. 2/3 Fairy Noble with Flying Death that costs 1 blue and a black. Other fairies you control get +1/+1. When another fairy you control dies, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Yeah, players out there are loving Fairy Tribal. A tribe that, yes, has had some Fairy Tribal commanders in the past, but getting an influx of more Fairy cards and more Fairy Tribal commanders to lead the charge with this set in the precons. And yeah, this is a great one that can pump your team. Obviously, a nice low-to-the-ground commander with an Anthem effect, and on top of that, a card draw engine for you. Again, any fairies you control die, draw a card. Not just, non-token fairies. Every single fairy counts towards this. Even changelings, I guess, too, which are also fairies, obviously. Losing a life for a card, not a big deal at all. This does not have a cap to it. There's not like, once a turn or just on your turn. No, this can give you a lot of card advantage. So yeah, fairies plus card advantage. What's not to love about that? 338 decks to its name. Good enough for 8th place. But now let's move on to 7th place with 433 decks to its name, taking a pretty big jump there. We've got Talon the Kindly Lord, a 3/4 Fairy Noble with Flying that costs 2 blue, black, so again, another Dimir commander. Enters the battlefield, which is a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana, value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. So this is not Fairy Tribal. I mean, I guess you could technically build it Fairy Tribal, but this is a crazy, crazy cool commander, and one that is completely different from basically every other commander out there. This is like, hey, your opponent's value, power, toughness, tribal, essentially, is what you're really kind of building around. You're just choosing what is going to be best for the situation that you're in, depending on, what kinds of decks your opponents might be playing. Maybe you've got something like telepathy that can help you see your opponent's hands. Maybe you know that your opponents have a good amount of creatures at this power level or toughness level or whatever. Essentially, you're going to be like, okay, I'll pick 2 or 3 most of the time, but you could change that. But yeah, being able to just get a ton of value and deterring your opponents from actually casting things because, hey, it's 2 life, which is a decent amount, but also you get to draw a card. So yeah, you can just essentially say, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to tax you, essentially. I'm going to get a ton of value out of you. I'm going to choose one that can really, really throw a wrench in your plans. And also, hey, those creatures they even play? Let's bounce them back to your hand with something like a River's Rebuke or whatnot. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all of a sudden you got to recast those, lose some more life. I get to draw some more cards. You can, of course, take advantage of drawing cards even further, losing opponent's life even further. A very, very cool, a very, very unique commander, and one that I'm not surprised to see make a splash already. 7th place, right there with 433 decks. Next up at 6th place, though, we've got one of my favorite commanders from Wilds of Eldraine. We've got Bernard, Ginger Sculptor, with 593 decks to its name, so yet another big jump there. A 3/3 Human Artificer for 1 green, white, blue, so in Bant, I almost said Simic, in Bant, Simic plus white. Each creature controlled a food or a golem gets +2/+2 and has trample. Whenever another non-token creature control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token's copy of that creature. Except it's a 1/1 food golem artifact creature and its other types, and it has pay 2, tap, sacrifice artifact, gain 3 life. This is a crazy cool commander. It is kind of like Death Tribal Commander in Bant, which you typically don't see in Bant to really take advantage of death triggers, essentially. But yeah, getting a creature in play and saying, you know what would be better than this? A token copy of it right now. Now, the token copy is just going to be a 1/1, food golem or whatnot. So it's going to get that +2/+2. So it'd basically be a 3/3 of trample. But essentially, again, you can really take advantage of, well, again, death triggers, like I said, but especially ETBs. Being able to say, like, okay, I got my creature in play. Cool, I've got a free sacrifice outlet in play, whether that's, like, greater good in green or some of the ones in white as well, like Martyr's Bond. Essentially, sacrificing a creature for free, getting some value out of that, and all of a sudden, a creature, is going to come into play, again, as a token copy of itself, and you get that ETB again, you get its effect again, you get whatever juicy value you can get out of it. Of course, you're going to take advantage of populate effects with one of my favorite cards out there, Song of the World Soul, and others as well. A really cool commander, a really cool concept. Again, something that Bant really hasn't seen before. Yeah, Bant can take advantage of, blink spells and, blink kind of commanders. But this one's like, no, like, hey, actually, we're like aristocrats in Bant as well. So yeah, a really cool concept for a commander. One that I am not surprised to see in 6th place. Again, nearly 600 decks to its name, 593. Congratulations, Bernard, Ginger Sculptor. But now let's move on to number 5. At 629 decks to its name, we've got a Layla, Cunning, Conqueror, a 2/4 Fairy Warlock with flying that costs 2 blue-black. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 black Fairy Rogue creature with flying. Whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat to your player, go target creature that player controls. So this commander, actually, I believe, was the backup commander in the Fairy Precon, but it is apparently being more utilized than the actual, base commander, which, might not be all that surprised with what it does. This is a commander that says, hey, you know what? I'm not just going to inherently give you tokens. I'm not going to inherently give you fairies, but if you build around me and you cast spells on your opponent's turns, all of a sudden you can make a fairy army in no time. With like 1 trip on the table, right? You cast 1 spell on each opponent's turn, casting those instants, essentially, or a creature with a flash. All of a sudden, you get 3 fairies. You are just making your fairy army in absolutely no time. And again, with those fairies, which do have flying, that are evasive, pretty much every fairy has flying and is evasive. Hey, when they get through on an opponent, you can goad a creature they control. Now, only based up to 1 creature per opponent, but still, being able to goad their best creature, send in at someone else, that can be huge, absolutely massive. A really cool concept for a commander. Again, Fairy Tribal is on fire right now. Players are absolutely loving it. Got a lot more support in this set in the precons as well. So yeah, Layla, Cunning, Conqueror, congratulations on your 5th place finish at 629 decks. But now let's move on to number 4 with embodying the Pyro Hammer with 660 decks to its name. My goodness, the commander that Burn players have been waiting probably since the start of Commander. They've been waiting for this one. Because, yeah, Burn is finally found its commander with this one. Lightning Bolt, a card that is amazing in other formats, but in Commander, it's kind of lackluster. Like, 3 damage doesn't really go as far in Commander, where players have, your opponents have a grand total of 120 life instead of just 20. So, yeah, this is a commander that's like, oh, no, Lightning Bolt now is really good. 3 damage to a creature all of a sudden becomes 12 damage in total. So take out a medium or small creature, essentially, with that Lightning Bolt again for just 1 mana, and then all of a sudden 9 extra damage, 3 damage each opponent's faces, which of course you can take even more advantage of with, you know, damage doubling, damage tripling. You can also take advantage of a lifelink with this commander and just saying like, oh yeah, my commander's one dealing the damage, so all of a sudden I gain 9 life from lightning bolt as well. Absolutely crazy. And of course, yeah, there's plenty of great damage spells out there, plenty of great burn spells that are just waiting for their chance to actually shine in commander, and all of a sudden they can. Yeah, you get a giant X damage spell, all of a sudden that is a game-ending spell with a commander like this. One, again, that burn player is waiting for such a long time. Burninate your opponent's creatures, even burninate your own, like, you know, like a Brash Taunter, or, you know, Stuffy Doll. Yeah, you can really take advantage of something like this. An absolutely really cool commander. Again, burn players out there, rejoice. You found your commander with Immodating the Pyro Hammer at 660 decks, 4th place finish. But now let's move on to 3rd place with 844 decks to its name, Hilda of the Icy Crown, a 3/4 human warlock for 2 white-blue. So Azorius, whenever you tap an untapped creature opponent controls, you may pay 1. When you do, choose 1. Create a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token, put a +1 counter on each creature you control, or scry 2, then draw a card. This card is huge. This card is massive. This commander is really cool. It's just like a commander that can really take advantage of those Verity Circle type, you know, effects, essentially saying like, hey, yeah, let's tap down our opponent's creatures and get value from that. Now you have to pay for this value. That being said, the value has so much potential. I mean, there's one card that immediately comes to mind every single time I see this commander, and that is Opposition. Basically, tap one of your creatures, tap down something an opponent controls. So basically, you use your creature, you tap it down an opponent's creature. All of a sudden, you pay 1, you make a 4/4, which you can tap right away thanks to Opposition. So you do that again and again and again, making a massive army. Of course, you can also take advantage of getting counters on your creatures, take advantage of scrying and drawing. A lot of value to be had with a crazy commander like this. And there's a lot of great tap effects out there that just get really, really well highlighted with a commander like this. It can really shine in this kind of a, well, tap control kind of deck, if we should call it that. But yeah, again, congratulations, Hilda, on your 3rd place finish. Again, 844 decks. Very impressive. But now at 2nd place, we've got yet another massive jump up to 1,130 decks already. Rowan Sign of War. I mean, Eldraine had barely come out. And yeah, this is already seeing a massive amount of play. A 4/2 human wizard with menace that costs 1 black and a red. Tap spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, for X the amount of life you lost this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. This commander is essentially a cheat code. This commander is essentially channel in commander. Channel, a very banned card. This is just like, hey, you know what? Let's lose some life, which is incredibly easy for you to do. There are cards out there that it says, basically like, you know, pay 1 life, like Mischievous Poltergeist. Hey, pay 1 life, regenerate me. You can repeat that as many times as you want. You can lose any amount of life that you want to lose. So lose, say, 30 life in a turn. No big deal at all. Then all of a sudden, tap this commander. All of your black and red spells cost 30 less to cast. Absolutely absurd. A crazy, crazy, crazy good effect. And one that says essentially, hey, you know what we're going to be doing? Casting giant spells. Especially spells that, well, maybe make our opponents, you know, they'll lose. Then we can do that. But we can also cast, you know, threaten effects as well to untap this commander, because although Will has access to a lot of untapped effects, we do too. We've got threaten cards that essentially say, like, hey, let's untap this commander. Do it again and again and again. And all of a sudden, our spells cost almost nothing to cast. And yeah, we're casting a Drain Life spell for 80. So yeah, we can win in a lot of crazy ways with a commander like this. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see this one up here. Again, congratulations, Rowan, on your 2nd place finish at over 1,000 decks already. Absolutely crazy. But coming in at 1st place at 1,293 decks to its name already, we've got Arietti, if I can say it right, I don't know, of the Charmed Apple, a crazy cool commander, a 2/4 human warlock in Orzhov for 1 white black. Each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack your planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life for X auras you control. A crazy cool commander that's kind of like pacifism-ish commander for your auras, except, okay, well, those creatures can still attack, and there's no blocking, you know, restriction on that as well. So kind of not pacifism, but basically like, hey, all of your auras now just have extra value in that they're going to force your opponents to not be able to attack you. And all of a sudden, those creatures are like, well, if we're going to attack, we have to attack somewhere. So they're kind of goated in a way, in a very strange way. But also, hey, if you don't try to stop what I'm doing here, things are going to get out of hand, because I'm going to be draining you all for a ton. And take advantage of the number of auras that I have in play, drain you all for a lot of life at my end step, gain all that life, take advantage of that life drain, take advantage of that life gain in plenty of ways. A really cool commander that can say like, hey, let's get the auras out there, cool. Oh, and it can count any kind of auras out there, even the new token auras that we have as well. And then also, oh, if things get wiped out, that's okay. I've got plenty of ways to bring those auras back, get them back into play, enchant other creatures as well, drain even further, force attacks. Yeah, crazy cool commander. One that, well, again, takes auras in a different, really cool direction, so I'm not surprised to see it up here. Again, congratulations, Arietti, however you say your name, with the Charmed Apple. First place, very impressive. Again, already 1,293 decks to its name. Congratulations again. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below on these commanders. Do you think that, well, in the future, one is going to jump above the others? Do you think one that's not actually on this list for Mods of Eldraine is going to jump into the top 10? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.